Hey YouTube, it is Nurse D here, and it has been quite a while. So I am on day, I believe, 16 of being here. It's been a little over 2 weeks since my last video, and I have worked every single day. I'm also going in today as well. I had planned to come in. Today was technically my day off. So they've been scheduling us 6 days a week, but I wanted to try to work more than that. But on my days off, I'm working less hours than a full 12-hour shift so I can do some other things as far as business related and other like miscellaneous things and stuff. So I try to get at least 4 hours in on my day off to go into work. And yesterday, I had actually let the charge nurse know that I will be coming in, and then the director of the ER texted me a couple of hours ago asking if I could come in. I said yes. I had already planned to come in, but I have some things that I'm trying to organize for the next coming up week. So right now, I'm actually cooking. I went to the grocery store last week on my day off, even though I went in, but I went to the grocery store and I got this whole big package of chicken. It was like pre-season, but it was like a big package of it. So I'm actually cooking that right now. The hotel has some type of like conventional portable stove top, and it's a little pan that goes on top, and so you can only use that pan. It activates once you put the pot on top, and but then it's a little pan, so it's taking me a long time to cook all this meat. I'm having to do one piece at a time. So right now it's been almost 2 hours, and I'm still working on cooking the meat. I think I have like two more pieces in the package to cook. And then I also ended up getting some peas and some spinach. So I'll probably try to somehow cook the peas in this little pan. I've also been getting some, when I went to the grocery store, I got some fruit and some nuts, pistachios. I love pistachios. And then like some sandwich meat and stuff to cook as well. The cafeteria here at this hospital, they're only open for a limited amount of hours. They're only open from like 11 to 1. And then in the morning, it's too busy for me to try to go. They're like open for 2 hours in the morning, and then that's it. They're closed. So that doesn't leave a lot of time for us to grab anything to eat. So, to tell you a little bit about the hospital, this is a 200-bed hospital. In the ER, we have about 23 beds, if I'm not mistaken. So, since I've been here the past 2 weeks, it has been increasingly getting busier. They do have a section that's for COVID patients, but the thing is, anybody can be a COVID patient. So they've had positive COVID patients in just the regular rooms and stuff. But in the COVID section, they kind of have it like plastic up with duct tape and like isolating that set of rooms. And then in the rooms, there's like some type of negative pressure with big pipes and stuff pulling out the air and everything. I don't know exactly what the setup is called. But the thing about that is they want you to, of course, to dress in the whole PPE to go in somebody's room. That typically is the busiest section because we've been holding patients for quite a bit. So we end up turning into basically like med surge nurses in a way, even though some of our patients are ICU, but people constantly wanting things and you having to go in there constantly doing all the PPE, and it just sucks up the time to put on all of that to go in there just to give them, some water, or oh, they dropped the car light on the floor or whatever. So our hospital has reached capacity with ICU beds. Now, they've been bringing in traveler ICU nurses, and they've opened up like empty units that were in the hospital that wasn't being utilized at this time, and they've turned them into ICU units. So that's been going on where they're opening up these empty units and turn them into ICU. But unfortunately, that has reached its capacity right now. So we've been holding ICU patients in the ER until a room comes open. I know one poor man, I've seen him, he's on the ventilator, and he's been in the ER for like the past 5 or 6 days, I believe. And then some of the patients I've had in my in the COVID section that they pretty much been, I don't know why I'm being picked to always work in that COVID section. But most of the times they put me in there. So I've had some patients to improve where they were able to downgrade them to like telemetry or step down where they didn't have to be ICU, and they've ended up getting beds upstairs, thankfully. We also get inmates at this hospital, so it must be a prison nearby. I don't know what prison, but we get a lot of inmates. And I've worked in other hospitals and stuff that we've gotten inmates, but they are very strict here in Texas. Like, they will not take off like a handcuff to free up a patient's hand to for us to start an IV. It just makes things so difficult. I understand the dilemma, but when you have their feet shackled, and I mean they're not going anywhere, and just to get them to free up one hand so we can try to start a good line instead of using their hands and stuff like that if they don't have good veins. They will not take off their handcuffs for anything. And even when we have to code an inmate, yes, code, they still won't take off their handcuffs. Like, we're coding this patient. And then it was another nurse that said they had coded the patient, and he ended up passing away, and they still would not take off the handcuffs. The man was dead, and they said they're not allowed to take off the hand. I don't understand, and I don't know. I don't know, but I know people have said it's really strict here in Texas. But whoever, I don't know if it's the warden, they need to lighten up a little bit, because these are really some sick inmates coming in. They don't even have the strength to do anything, even if they wanted to. And then on top of that, it is two guards with one inmate that comes in. So one of them sits in the room with the patient, and the other one is outside of the room. And even at other places I've been, there's only like one guard with a prisoner. So on top of it, like they're just, I don't know, it's overdoing it, and it irritates me where when somebody is really sick and critical, that they can't even release one arm to help them. But anyway, that's my complaint. I treat all patients the same. I don't care if you're a prisoner or not. It's a bunch of people running around here that have committed crimes and murders that have not been caught, and we're treating them just because they've never been caught and in prison the same way. So, and some people in prison are shouldn't be in there, that they didn't commit the crime that comes out many years later after the fact. So I treat everybody the same. I don't care if you're an inmate or not. So that's kind of my stance on that. Hold on, I gotta check on my food. Basically, every day, kind of how I've been managing my time is when I get out. Thankfully, I don't have any drive time. Like, the hospital is literally right across the street, so it takes me 1 to 2 minutes to drive over here, back to the hotel to get in here. So I don't have any drive time that's taken away from my sleep time. When I get home, I try to do everything within a 2 hour frame, at the most 3 hour frame, to get, because I always have things to do when I get off of work, whether it's most of the times it's business related, where I need to, you know, do some emails or send out some emails or make phone calls. Right now, like this morning, since I didn't have to go in, I made some business phone calls that, working. Oh, that's another thing is they got me on day shift. Oh goodness. I wanted night shift, but they were like they needed me on day shift, and I have never ever done ER on straight days, 7 a to 7 p. Mm-mm. I prefer night shift or even a swing shift. I am not an early bird at all. So yes, they have me on day shift. So working 7 a to 7 p, like I can't even make any business calls or anything during the daytime when I'm working every day. So that's another thing that I use my one day off, but I work in the evening to actually make any business calls that I need to make during the daytime that they're closed already by the time I get off of work. But I've been structuring my time, like with washing my clothes and stuff like that. And I try to use that 2 hour time frame when I get off of work so I can have a decent amount of hours of sleep between 7 to 9 hours. If I can get in the bed and sleep by 9 p.m., that's great. But you definitely have to manage your time when you're doing this because you need your sleep, you need your rest. And like this morning, I slept in as well. So that helps me to energize for the next coming up week that I'll be working until the next day that I have where I can sleep in. So that's kind of what I've been doing. My company that I'm with, they've already technically been extended to keep us up until September the 10th, I believe. And they're also thinking that we'll be extended after that. So that's kind of the situation. I will probably sometime in August plan to go back home. So I will take like 2 days off and I'll fly back home to do some business and then fly back out the next day. And then on that next day, I'll be back at work. So that's kind of how I'm gonna plan it out, basically. So let me know if you have any questions or anything like that. I wanted to do this quick video since I'm about to, once I finish cooking, I'm gonna head back to work and be at it again. All right. And if y'all haven't already, please subscribe and comment below for any questions or anything. Okay.